Welcome to the Grow Your Law Firm podcast, brought to you by PILMA. This podcast helps lead lawyers to more growth, profit, and freedom. Here is your legal marketing expert and host, Ken Hardison.
Hi, this is Gracie Howes with PILMA. Let's hit pause for just a second on this episode because I have to tell you about this event that every forward-thinking PI firm should have on their calendar this January. It's the AI for PI Expo in Orlando, Florida, January 15th through 17th. This is the very first conference of its kind dedicated entirely to showing personal injury firms how to harness AI to save time, cut costs, and grow faster. You'll get hands-on demos, practical training, and access to the best AI solutions built for law firms. Reserve your spot now at pilma.org/AI for PI Expo via the link in the show notes.
Well, hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Grow Your Law Firm. And this is our 300th episode. Yeah, it doesn't seem like it's been almost 6 years since I started this weekly podcast. And today we've got a big treat. I'm so honored that Micki Love has agreed to join us today. She is really a legend in the PI firms, management, marketing. She's been there and done that, grew several law firms and helped thousands of lawyers hit 8 figures, 9 figures. It's just a jewel to have you here. I appreciate it, Micki.
Thank you so much. I'm honored to be on the 300th episode. Like, how crazy is that? Time flies.
I know. I can't believe it. You know, that's somebody was telling me that 80% of podcasts never get past the 4th one.
Wow.
I didn't realize
it's a lot of work to put a podcast together.
Yeah, but I enjoy it. I always learn something every time, and I'm expecting to learn a hell of a lot more today with you. So I'm looking forward.
Oh, thank you.
Keeps this old man relevant. So I love it. I really do. So I really want to get into some stuff because you are a thought leader. You're seeing the next big deal. You always, and you're helping us here at PILMA and hopefully help us more as the future, unwinds, helping with the masterminds and leading a lot of those for us, and just brings more value to our members. So I'm so happy and so grateful that you're doing that for our members. I really am.
Thank you so much. I truly enjoy growing law firms. Like, it is one of the things that I enjoy the most about what I've been able to do across my career, and being part of, the trajectory of the PILMA clients is just super exciting to me because there's so much potential, so many good firms in PILMA. And I just, I've said this time and time again, masterminds are the way to grow. From the time that I was allowed to start attending when I worked at my first firm, we were always in a mastermind meeting, always. We belonged to 2, 3, 4 sometimes, just so we could make sure we were getting the most knowledge possible. And we never wanted to be the smartest person in the room, right? Like, we wanted to find other great people to surround ourselves with. So I think what you've built with masterminds is so crucial for law firms to be part of. And I'm excited to be able to be part of that with you guys.
So if there's that chance that anybody's listening that don't know who you are, which I think they probably won't be, but just in case, can you kind of give us a history of, you've been in this stuff over 30 years. Kind of tell us how you got started, your journey to where you are now. If you can do that, it'd be great. I don't know that you've ever really done that.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Yeah, it's if anybody's trying to do the math, I started when I was 5 years old because this is my 32nd year working in and on personal injury firms. So that's my favorite joke, is to say I started when I was 5, in case you're doing the math. But now that's still making me almost up there. So I'm not sure if I can keep saying 5. I might have to pick a new number. So, but yeah, 32 years. I started out at a small law firm called Hughes Coleman Injury Lawyers back in 1993. And we were, at the time, I think there were 15 total employees. We were in Bowling Green, Kentucky, really small town, but Marshall Hughes and Lee Coleman had really made a name for themselves there. I started out as a runner and a file clerk, but I was curious, right? I wanted to learn more. And so back in those days, we still had a typing pool, which, for any of you who have been around long enough, you had the ear plugs and you had the little foot pedal. And so you had to learn to type and listen and rewind. It was kind of like driving a car, but trying to type at the same time. So I did that for a while. Really gave me a lot of insight as to how the attorneys thought about cases, and how they were putting together all the evidence to make a demand package to go out. So that was kind of my first interest in the legal space. And then, being a part-time person, you kind of get tasked with doing everything. And being the youngest person in the firm at the time, I was also tasked with technologies because computers were just becoming the big deal for law firms back then. We were in, what was it, WordPerfect, I think, was our processor. And we had just started using pins. And so I got to be on the committee for how to create a CRM that would really function well for the law firm. And doing that, I sat on that committee with the really experienced case managers that were going to be using it. So I got to learn their role during that process. Graduating college, I became the bookkeeper because I thought I wanted to be an accountant when I grew up. But I really quickly learned that I hated debits and credits at the law firm. So by this time, Marshall and Lee had opened into Nashville, Tennessee, which was a much bigger market just to the south of our Bowling Green office. I could hear them when we would do our monthly meetings on the P&L talking about needing more cases, needing more cases. And so I knew intake was the key to the heartstrings for the firm to continue to grow. So I went to Lee one day and was just like, hey, can I do intake? Can I be over intake for just like 30 days just to see if we can make a difference? And he's like, well, I think we know what we're doing with intake, but sure, I'll let you try it as long as you keep doing your other job too. And so I was like, deal, like I'll do it. And so he let me work with intake for about 30 days. And during that time, we went from 20 signups a month to 100 signups a month in our Nashville market. So it just was a matter of, at the time, we were letting everybody take all the intakes. And so we were able to pull our intake department into one spot. And so this was like 1997. We had an intake department back then. And from there, I just really continued to learn and grow. And Lee and Marshall ran a seminar called M&L Marketing and Management. They allowed me to be part of that for many years. And I got to be in the room with a lot of really smart attorneys. And I just absorbed everything I possibly could, eventually making my way up to the COO of the firm, working side by side with Lee Coleman, who really was just kind of brilliant in the numbers. Like he could do anything with a number and make it make sense from a law firm operations standpoint. And so he taught me a ton of things. And a lot of that stuff still exists today, just in an electronic version instead of our old yellow legal pads that we had when I first started doing it. So
Yeah.
it's so fun. That's a long-winded way to say I love growing law firms. It's been ingrained in me. And I was curious when you asked me to do this podcast. So I went back and looked. I was like, what was the title of the first podcast that you did after your introductory one? And it was Staying Current in Ever Evolving Legal Landscapes. How cool is that? Because I don't think anything has changed in the legal industry as quickly as 2025 has changed in the legal industry, from AI technology to private equity money, buying and selling of law firms, ABSs. Like this year has just been wild to me. I've not seen near as much growth and innovation in the PI space as I see now, and it's just so freaking exciting.
And it's scary for some lawyers. I mean, I'm seeing I actually had a meeting this morning with a guy. He's got 10 law firms that want to sell.
Oh yeah.
And I said, why are they wanting to sell? He said, they just, they're baby boomers and mortgage come into their market. They just don't want to fight anymore. They're just tired. But I don't know. But it is changing. I mean, I think to me, I saw everything start changing when COVID hit, because people
Yeah.
started going remote. I mean, you had to, and you see clients not coming into the office as much. You see people, I mean, I used to have, and I bet y'all did too, had investigators that would go out and sign up people, go to their house. That's over with now. I mean, you just do it on the phone, do it with a text. It's I know I talk to lawyers that know a lot of their cases and never see their clients in person. I mean, they might see them on a Zoom, talk to them on the phone, text them, but things have changed. I mean, I think it's just a change of society. Everybody's instant gratification and wants to make it as easy. They want the easiest route they can take. And I don't know. I always thought lawyers intimidated people for the most part. I didn't realize that for a long time, but I think people, not everybody, but a lot of people, and I think less educated people are very intimidated by lawyers.
I agree. I think that started
So
to show up in advertisements where people were taking off their ties and just becoming more relaxed so they could be more relatable. So I absolutely agree with that.
yeah, I mean, yeah, I see lawyers now doing YouTube and they got T-shirts on,
Yeah.
knit shirts like this, and it don't
Uh-huh.
seem to bother people. I mean, it's funny when I was practicing. when I was in 96, 97, the rule was you had to wear a tie, and you could take your coat off, but if you went, then you had to have your jacket ready to go to court. Okay, so or if you met a client, you had to put your jacket on. But
Oh
that's
yeah,
that's
so
that's
different.
all changed. That's all changed for the most part.
100%.
Yeah, that's what you talked about all these changes. So what does that mean for law firm owners that want to stay relevant, not be left behind? I mean, what do they need to start thinking about?
Yeah. Ease, right? Like we got to figure out a way to make retaining and hiring your law firm easy for the people out there because you said it a minute ago, they want instant gratification. They don't want to wait 30 minutes for you to decide if you're going to help them or not. They want to know right now. That's why they're calling you. And I think we also have to make sure that we are relatable and connectable with those individuals because as we become a less communicative society, right? People are going more to just texting you, which is still a form of communication, but it's not that verbal communication that we're used to. We're going to miss so many elements of that connection that we were making with clients to really make them feel like we were their law firm for life so that if they knew anybody that was hurt or they needed a lawyer again, that they would call us again. We're going to have to make sure that we are still making those types of connections, even though we're going to be doing it probably in slightly different ways than we have in the past. So accepting new forms of communication, accepting that people want instant gratification and instant information about their case. And luckily, there's a lot of great tools out there to help us. But I think that also can drive attorneys crazy because they're like, now I have all these products. I don't know which one to choose from. Like, what am I going to do? And so it's going to be ever evolving. But I think there's some really cool stuff that's going to help us be that law firm of the future easily.
Yeah. And I see this too. I think like AI and all the products that are coming up out of AI and then the old products that are like Ring Central, all the other products and case status and things, they're actually pulling AI into their products,
Yeah.
even the older ones. And then you got all these new ones popping up. And I really think, I don't even know. I mean, there's so much to choose from. Who do you choose and what do you do? And, we talked about it and we're going to do an AI for PI Expo in January 15th through 17th in Orlando at the JW Marriott. And we're going to have a bunch of vendors there, but we're going to have lawyers that are using AI. We're going to have thought leaders and get more on the practical side of how you use it as a thought partner to help you solve problems, how to use it in case flow, in the flow of work, and then also how to use it for marketing and how to use it for intake. I mean, so it's everywhere. And here's the biggest deal. I mean, this is the one I'm scared of the most. I think it's already here, and I want you to talk. I want your take on it. Is intake. I mean, I'm really thinking, and I might be wrong. I think all this stuff worrying about getting great intake people are going to be over with in the next couple of years. Everybody's going to be using AI to do intake. I mean, what do you think? I mean, I don't know.
I'm so excited about it. From an AI receptionist, right, where the call can automatically be routed to the right person. They can be look in your CRM, gather the information, send those calls to the right places. But I'm an intake girl at heart. Like that's where I cut my teeth at. That's what I really, really enjoy on the front end of a case or on the front end of building a law firm. There's so much opportunity there, and AI is going to, it already is. It's transforming the intake piece of the puzzle. So an AI answering agent that can answer the calls, do an intake on the spot, make a decision based on how you've trained it, get the contract out to them, and wait on the phone with the client to get the contract back. Like that is happening right now. And people should start embracing it. If nothing else, start small, trickle it out. Start with your after hours answering service. Use it for your after hours answering system. It's inexpensive relatively compared to answering services and compared to a person that you may have to hire overseas who may or may not speak the language that you're used to. One of my favorites right now is called Neto. It's Neto, and it has really just jumped ahead of all the other AI voice agents that I've seen out there. It knows a bunch of different languages, so you don't have to worry about if the person calls in and they need to speak a different language. The bot can recognize and switch over to those languages easily. So now we're solving the language barrier, and they can even make the determination that we need to send out the contract in their native language so that the right contract goes to that individual for them to be able to understand and send back to us. It's just really freaking cool. And the accuracy of it is even more phenomenal. Like even if someone's not comfortable going that direction, the other option that we've seen happen so far is having an AI agent right alongside your human intake specialist. So they're taking all the notes and doing everything and filling in your CRM while the human is doing the conversation piece. So when the call's done, the human has been able to really just listen and pay attention to the caller, while the AI agent is taking down all the information, summarizing the intake, and really setting that case up for success as we move through it. From there, the AI agent can alert the attorneys to review the case. If it's a catastrophic injury, it knows that and can do whatever your methodology is for catastrophic elevations inside of your firm. Like, it's just blowing my mind, and it's so fun and so cool to see it happening.
Yeah, that Nito, I think it's not legal. You sent me the number to do like a cold call just to see how it works, and I really tried to mess it up. I mean, I was really hard to deal with. It handled it. It handled it, and I finally just said, "Listen, I just can't make up my mind to do this till I talk to a lawyer." I didn't say a real person. I said, "I got to talk to a lawyer." And they said, "No problem, sir. We'll transfer you over right now." But they'd already sent me the contract. They texted it to me,
Yep.
and it was so empathetic and
Yep.
sounded. I couldn't tell the difference. I really couldn't. I mean,
Yeah.
I wonder, do you need to have a thing up front saying that this is not a real person, or do you think or just don't bother with it? I mean, I don't know.
It's a personal preference by law firm. I think the firms that I'm working with, we are going to identify it as a personal assistant agent, but how we word that is not going to be like, hey, I'm an AI assistant, right? Like, it's going to be worded slightly differently so that we can ease people into it. And quite frankly, today people don't really want to talk to humans anymore. Like, they want to communicate with their computer. They want to communicate by text message. So this is that self-service option that they can really lean into if they choose to, or they can say, hey, I'd like to speak to an attorney or an agent or a human or operator, whatever they choose to say, and it will know what to do with those messaging. So I think the attorneys and the paralegal teams at the offices have to get comfortable with what it might sound like. But one of the things I was blown away with Nito is the amount of background noise that they pumped in. It sounds like somebody's typing while they're listening to this AI agent. And then the ability for it to deliver the messages that we have so long to train our intake team to deliver. Like, hey, XYZ law firm, I just want to let you know that they've been nominated to best lawyers for the last 3 years. Like, you've made the right choice. And then it just moves right on into the next question. Like, it's so seamless and it seems so sincere and empathetic. It's really wild to me, but exciting.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, and that's right after COVID, everybody was about, let's just get remote people, got to get remote people. And I've heard you talk about this, and I'm not trying to steal your thunder, so I want you to elaborate on it. But you're the last masterminds we were at that you were heading up, you said, we've got to get your labor down
Yeah.
because all this outside money coming in and the John Morgans of the world, that you're going to have to spend more money on marketing, whether you want to or not, if you want to stay relevant. And so instead of cutting into your profits, you got to cut into your labor. And how do you cut into your labor? But either offshore or automation, which means AI, I guess. I mean, how do you see that? I mean, how do you see the future law firm operating so that they can do this? I mean, because that is a big jump. And I think you're right. I think this is where it's going.
Yeah, it's huge. And it's a great time to talk about budgeting. So if we have spare minutes today, we can get into that. But typically over the past years, we've talked about the right ratios of employee expenses to revenue, advertising expense to revenue, and then everything else. What we need to be talking about today is, how do we take processes that we already have inside of our firm, major processes like demand writing, medical record gathering, intake, and how do we break one each quarter and rebuild it using technology? We're not trying to eliminate people altogether. What we're trying to do is utilize the people that we have to the highest and best skill set that they can bring to the table, which is really thought process, right? Like, letting them build and lean into, how do I build a better case for this client? Excellent client communication from team members, because we now have freed up all the data entry pieces that we were having to do using technology, and then allowing them to really look at that client as a case that needs to be put together carefully. And then how do we execute that with the attorney's help so that the client gets the best representation possible? Case managers will be able to handle more cases because more of the process pieces will be automated for them. But I don't see a world where we're eliminating all of our people. I see a world where technology takes us to the next level of where we can build our cases for higher value, which adds top line revenue for us, which also decreases our staffing costs, and our advertising costs will come down as a percentage of overall revenue. And those are some of the most important pieces that we've got to be cognizant of.
Yeah, and no matter where you have this, you probably know, but I've always thought if I could have something that could go through the file and look at the medical records and kind of spot like a TBI case or a certain type of case that
Yeah.
my people might just miss, or whatever, and have somebody analyze that so that we can get on it ahead of it and get the right treatment and create the case value. And I'm sure there's something out there probably already, but
Yes. There's a lot of those that will do it looking at the records, but one of the things that we're building right now that I think is going to be really cool. I've not deployed it yet, so check back with me in 30 days and hopefully we'll have it done. But is a TBI voice agent that can call your clients after they sign up and go through the TBI checklist. And as soon as it's alerted that it is a potential TBI, it can shoot off to the TBI team, whatever that looks like. So at each firm, so it'll be a little different at every firm, but no longer do I have to count on my case managers to make that call and spend 30 minutes to an hour on the phone with the client asking them the TBI questions so that we can determine that it is a TBI. I can do that with a voice agent. I don't have to wait for the medical records to come in to really see what the diagnosis were or to see that they may be complaining of certain symptoms. I can look at that early on and make sure that client gets into the right doctor's hands or the right type of doctor's hands to ensure they get the medical treatment they deserve so that they're fully healed as much as possible by the time we're ready to settle their case.
And I think what lawyers they need to not be scared of this AI because it's coming, whether or not you're going to embrace it. But the deal is, and I'm learning this stuff because I don't even know how to type, but I know this is so relevant. I've got to learn it, right? So I play with AI every day for a different type of deal. But I was sitting there thinking, I did a couple of podcasts with really brilliant people on it. They said a custom chat GPT is different than an AI agent. They just do one task. But whereas an AI agent, which is a little bit more difficult to make, but which you can get it and train it, I'm sitting here thinking, you tell me if I'm wrong. If you really got it down, I mean, I'm not saying do it all overnight, but over a year or two, you can have an AI agent that would set up the file and find the insurance company and do the letters of rep and get the coverage. And then, then you've got another one that's sitting there pulling in the medical records and doing the chronologies and doing the demand. And then really what it comes down to is the case manager, or whatever you want to call them, is like you said, just really facing the client and making sure they're getting taken care of, that they're getting great service, and that they're making that connection, that relationship that they wrote that you really care about them, because that's where you get referrals. That's where you get, people really think you really care about them, not just their case, but them.
Yes, and that's what we've all strived to do. Yeah.
But I mean, do you see that as a possibility or?
100%. I think if firms are hesitant, like just take one process every quarter, that's a big process, break it apart and say, how can we rebuild this with technology? But we're already testing AI agents that can call the insurance company and set up the claims. We're already testing AI agents that can call and follow up on outstanding medical records. Some of that's going to go away with even more technology as medical records get more connected. We're going to have medical records returned in minutes instead of months, which is going to be super, super great for all of us. But until then, how do we rebuild this with technology? And this isn't a set it and forget it type thing because AI is evolving faster and faster and faster. So what we fix today may have to be reevaluated next year and a new fix may be in place, right? Because the technology will move quicker. And that's why I say in the PI space, technology has never moved as fast as it has in the last year. It's just, we stayed on, pins and needles for 30 years before it was not a thing anymore. And then in the last 5 years, there's been so many CRMs that have really advanced themselves, maybe 10 years, advanced themselves. Pins and needles has become, just one of many now, when really it was the leader for PI for so long because we just didn't change. Like PI did not change for a long time.
Yeah. And another thing I heard you talk about, and I've been talking, I actually was talking about it yesterday at our Q&A for Pillman. You know, we have that every month where I get on the Zoom, and they were asking about different case management systems. And I said, well, you need to make sure that they're open. And what I mean by open, and there's probably a word for that, but it's where you can pour it in. Like some of them are closed. I remember Needles always used to be closed. I used to raise hell with Burke, the guy, the owner. I said, when are you going to get it open so that we can, you know, go into it, connect our other stuff so that we can run our reports and not have to sit there run every little thing and make it so faster. But with all this AI stuff, if it's not, what do you call it? Open
API.
Yeah. If you don't do that, I mean, I think it's just crazy. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I'm thinking, and there's some out there that are really good, but they're closed. And I mean, we have
really expensive. Like it's just, you know, and they charge you for every API connection that you have as well. So, you know, one of the things that I truly enjoy or think that's going to be a big thing of the future is less and less reliance on your CRM and more reliance on the AI apps that are connected to your CRM. Because imagine, you know, for as long as I can remember, we've been talking about doing attorney file reviews. What if I can just type a prompt into an AI and it searches all of my cases and returns a file review on these cases for me? So I no longer have to dig in and do it. I can just concentrate on the, you know, whatever issues the AI returns for me. Is it going to be perfect? No. But is a human doing AI or doing file reviews ever perfect? No. We miss things because we don't have enough hours to do that. So AI is going to miss some things. So you can't rely on it 100%, but it's going to be as effective as a human sitting there and doing that. So, you know, I like what Smart Advocate's doing with their AI. I like where Litify has gone with their AI, but I also like the more simple approaches to CRMs like BackDocket, where it's cost effective and you can add on an Eve or a Supio or an Even Up for all the AI technologies and still be less than some of those bigger box brand CRMs. You don't need all those bells and whistles in different places anymore. So you want to make sure you're doing right by your firm, making the right choice for your firm, because every firm is going to be different, but there are smart choices for each firm. And, you know, knowing how to ask the right questions will make a big difference as you go through there.
And I don't think you want to do anything where you sign long-term contracts with anything with AI. I mean, because it's changing so fast.
Yes.
I mean, really, like you said, in the last year, my God, I mean, you know, and it's just going to get better and better and better. I mean, this reminds me, it's faster, but this reminds me, I remember when the little chips were coming out on computers, about every 30 days, a new chip, a faster chip, a faster chip, a faster chip. And you just couldn't stay up with it. I mean, you know, you buy a new computer in hell in 6 months, it's obsolete because it's the next, you got one out that's 3 times as fast, which is what you need, right? I mean, you need the fastest you can get.
100%.
So I think that's what's happening with AI. I really do.
I totally agree with you. And I say the same thing, like don't sign any long-term contracts because you don't know what tomorrow's going to look like with your CRM, with your AI products, or with any new AI products that are going to come in at a different price point that makes the most sense for your firm. I do love the litigation aspects that we're finding inside of the CRMs or inside of these AI products, excuse me. And I think that's going to be super helpful for law firms. But, you know, 80% of our cases are in pre-lit. So finding a way to manage those pre-litigation cases is going to be crucial as well.
Well, listen, I'll do, you mentioned on something, I would like to get to that. So it's getting the end of the year. I know you're writing an article for Pillman Magazine, and I'm writing one too. We've got a tax guy writing. We're all time about thinking about year-end planning for next year, looking back where we've been, where we want to go. So if you're doing this, how do you tell firms when you're coaching and consulting? What's the outline or whatever? Where do you start?
Yeah. So I like to do what we call a one-page plan. So it has the last 5 years worth of information on there by category. So I break my categories down into advertising and then attorney comp, non-attorney comp, and then everything else. And from there, we start looking at those budgets or those buckets of numbers for the last 5 years, see what our numbers have trended, and then see where we think there's some operational efficiencies we can gain. And then we're going to look at those budgets independently and say, okay, what are we going to do next year and 2 more years out? So I'm looking 5 years back and 3 years forward because we want to be able to double our revenue every 3 years for the bigger firms. For the smaller firms, we're trying to double every 18 to 24 months. And so, you know, we want to look back to look forward. And so I never want to just take 1 year's worth of data and make assumptions off of it. I want to know what's in those numbers. How are we going to change that as we grow? Because you can't just stay the same necessarily in all expense categories if you want to double your revenue in 3 years. So ton of numbers to go into it, but I would say don't just look at your P&L. Look at your case makeup also. How many A cases do we have? What does our Pareto principle look like? What's our average fee? What's our time on desk? All of those things can impact your future revenue and how fast you can get to your double your revenue goal, whether that's 18 months or 3 years. I'm super excited. I'm doing a session with one of the Pillman Mastermind members, Cooper Hurley, this week. So I'm flying out this afternoon to go spend a day with them, and we're going to sit down and we're going to figure out how to reach their goals that they have for themselves 3 years from now. And it's a lofty goal, and it's so exciting because I got all their numbers in and I analyzed them, and I'm like, you can do this in 2.5 years, like just based on what they have in inventory. I haven't told them yet, so I think this comes out after I meet with them. Wait to tell Jim tomorrow during our meeting all the opportunity that's already inside of their firm, what they can do with it, and then the outside opportunities still to come in. So super excited to do that with them. Every firm should do it. Don't try to do it alone. Get a coach, get somebody to walk through it with you, because when you're in the forest, you can't really see the trees. And somebody sitting with you for a few hours and talking through it can really help you kind of look at the big picture, set your benchmarks, and then make it happen.
Yeah. Another thing I used to do, and I don't know if you, I used to look at like at least in the last 12 months, how many cases I closed, how many cases that I signed up, kind of see what the trend was. So I can kind of say, am I going to add more people next year or what,
100%.
and then try to look at what which is so hard now, acquisition costs, see how much of my case costs, and then see, if I'm signing up 50 cases, but I want to sign up 70 cases, what I'm going to have to do to get to 70 cases, how much money am I going to need to spend? So I'm going to have to figure out, and then just I don't know. I mean, I was crazy. This has been 30 years ago, but I sat there and figured out 5 years ahead. Like, if we still grow at this pace, this is what I'm going to have to need. And I was within 15% of it, Vic. I couldn't believe it. But
Every time.
I was looking at, a trail and then forward.
Yep,
basically.
100%.
And then looking at, one of my mentors says, listen, how much you spend on marketing means on how many clients you want. If you want to, and then figure out what your cost is, and then figure if you got the money to do it, if you got to go borrow the money, or what can you afford to do or not do, and that kind of thing. And then there's so much.
Everybody thinks that you can get more cases for less money now because there's so many more social media ways of advertising, and it's just not true. Like, so much more competition. We now have private equity money in our industry competing for the same cases we used to compete for. Their pocketbooks are big. We have lead gen companies that we didn't have before that are bidding on your name, my name, everybody's name to get those cases. There are so many more people trying to get the cases, and cars are getting safer, right? So that's the other piece is, there are less severe accidents, which is what we've all been fighting for a long time, right? If we're truly in the PI world for the right reasons, like we want safety for people, holding people accountable, but that's a factor into this equation as we move forward. So one of the new numbers that we're paying attention to that Chad Dudley taught me about a few years ago is the delta. And so we're really trying to manage the delta between our average fee and our true cost per case, which is different than your cost per case. So your true cost per case is all your marketing dollars spent, less the number of cases that you closed out with no fee,
Right.
divided into how much you spent. So that becomes your true cost per case. And that number is important because a cost per case and a true cost per case can be wildly different. Especially if you have a poorly functioning intake department, it can make some real numbers be off. So you want to make sure you're looking at the right one. And we're looking to get a $10,000 delta between what it's costing for a true cost per case and our average fee. When we get there, we know we're hitting a lot of benchmarks in the right spot. And if we're off, what do we need to do to correct it? Is it an advertising thing that's causing us to be off, or is it an average fee thing that's causing us to be off? And so both of those things can be true at the same time, but either one could be true absent the other one as well.
And some firms, they're very liberal and they'll take in about anything, and then they'll cut it loose after about 30, 60 days if they're good. And then some firms are really picky right up front. And I think that can make a big difference. It depends on what your criteria is for your intake.
Yep. And that's why that true cost per case versus just the cost per case is the more important number for firms to pay attention to, because it kind of levels the playing field for both styles of firms.
Yeah. What do you think is the best, to be more tight or be more liberal on your criteria?
I lean more toward the liberal side if that's the firm you're comfortable being, because there's more opportunities to find the bigger cases. I tell this story often, but in my past career, we got really tight and we missed a case that could have been huge, but luckily we had a product similar to Speed AI that identified that, hey, you've missed this case, and we were able to get on the call, get that person back in the office, sign it up, and it was the biggest case we had settled to date at that firm. So, there are things like that that can really happen inside of your intake if you're not watching it, and can really change the trajectory of your firm.
Yeah, I mean, I remember this has been, my God, 20, 30 years ago. I mean, I signed up this case. They sent it to me because the guy's foot was amputated, and it was a fire case in an apartment complex, and there were some questions about safety and fire alarm, fire smoke detectors. 6 law firms had turned it down. We were the 7th law firm. I took that case. I got $1 million policy limits and another $500,000 from the owner, because he owned about 500 apartments.
Yeah.
So you just never know, right? I mean, 6 law firms missed that $500,000 fee.
And that happens every single day, because your intake team may not know what to look for. And if they're not looking for the right thing, it can be missed just like that. But that one case could change your whole year, right? Like, it could really, when it settles, it revolutionizes what you have to propel yourself into the future. So get intake tight. If you're not tight in intake, call me, text me, email me. Let's get tight on intake, because this is where firms will win or lose into the future.
Yeah. And this is the kind of stuff you teach at our masterminds too. Yeah. And so 100%. If anybody's never looked into masterminds, you need to do it, because it's going to be a lot cheaper than hiring you individually. I know. Not that you're not worth it. Not that you're not worth it. I mean, I would too. I mean, I think you're great. But what I'm saying is, I'm trying to push masterminds, I guess. That's me looking after me. But
well, you know what? You're really looking after the people, because I know people think I may be just trying to sell masterminds as well, but I'm telling you, it is a game changer when you are in a room full of people you can trust, that are in the same industry as you, experience the same issues as you, and you can share numbers openly with them, and you can say, well, if they can get there, I can get there too. And then you can ask questions like, hey, how did you get there? And then you have thought leaders in the room like yourself who can guide them on some of those things that other firms may not speak up about, but you can help bring it out because you've been there, seen it. I mean, you've built multiple firms and sold them for big dollars. So, you bring a lot of expertise to the table that people can lean into. I love masterminds. I think it's super critical, and I hope everybody has somebody like that they're part of. And if not, come on over to Pilma. We'd love to have you in a mastermind with us.
There you go. There you go. So it's been about 45 minutes, I guess. Anything you want to cover before we wrap up and you give your information, how people can get up with you if they want to talk to you?
Sure. You can reach me through the Pilma website. But the last thing I would say is, hey, let's not miss out on AI for PI. I'm excited to hopefully have all these initial pieces of AI somewhat set up so that we can showcase from the beginning through the litigation process how you can utilize AI in the very best way to streamline your firm and really gain some efficiencies while maintaining the quality customer service that you're looking for. I think what you're doing, Ken, bringing AI to the forefront for firms who are nervous, we're going to be able to give them some comfort and some ease around some of these products by that time, and it's going to be a fantastic show.
Yeah, and it's not going to just be speakers. We're actually, the last day, we're going to do a half-day workshop. We're going to divide it up with owners and COOs and marketers and intake. But I'm also thinking now, since you've got this stuff, maybe we do it for trial or something. I don't know. Yeah. But we'll talk about it. We want to make sure I want them to leave with something in their hand that they can take back and implement, give them feeling comfortable with it. Yeah. Not to be scared of it and to know where to start. Because that's a big deal. That was where I was. I didn't know where to start, even with Pilma. I mean, where are we going to start with this? Because there's so many things we could do, but my gosh, it's overwhelming. And there's so many, Claude, ChatGPT, Gemini. I mean, there's so much of this stuff. Where do you, and then all these products, you see for marketing. I mean, it's not, we don't use case management stuff, but we do market, and there's a lot of stuff out there just for marketing,
Yeah. it's a wild, wild west out there right now. So,
Yeah.
that's the other benefit of masterminds. If I can just say one more plug for it, is you get to learn what other landmines people have stepped in, so you don't have to make those same
Yeah.
unfortunate steps, because
Yeah.
it saved us a million times over.
Yeah. And I won't fortune up the first 4 or 5 years that I was trying to build my firm. And I built it pretty fast, from like 2 lawyers to 13 lawyers in 5 years. I just made a lot of mistakes. And some of them were expensive and some of them won't. But I didn't have nobody to bounce anything off of, or anybody to ask, have you tried this? Or which
Yeah.
vendors, can I trust? I mean, that's big stuff, man. I mean, I think it pays for itself 10 times, but every time I say that, I'm thinking, well, that's like the hen house. I mean, that's like the fox with the hen house, what else am I going? Well, I will say this, I've spent, in the last 30 years, I probably spent close to over $500 million being in masterminds. I've been in Jay Abrahams, Dan Kennedy's, some other ones out there, these marketing geniuses and stuff. And I paid I've paid up to $100,000 a year to be in one. Most of the time it's 25 to 50, but I think it was money well spent. I learned stuff I didn't know, because you don't know what you don't know, and it saved me a lot of money.
I started to say, you can't even quantify what you saved from being in there too, right? Like just knowing what not to do, or some of it's just assurance that you're not alone as well, right? Like there's
Yeah.
so many chances for you to be doing something and wondering like, what the heck is happening? And somebody else can help you through that because they've been there, they've seen that, they've done that. And you don't feel so alone or isolated, because it is hard for business owners when you don't have a circle of people you can go to have those conversations with, to lean into. Those are big deals, and I think masterminds are crucial for everyone. Even coaches,
Thank
I mean, even professional athletes still have coaches. Like, why do we as humans think that we can get through our business lives without a coach, if those that are getting paid millions of dollars to play games still need coaches as well? So it's a necessary thing, and I think it's a great thing you built.
Thank you for helping with it, because you're making it even more valuable, and I appreciate that.
Well, I'm excited. I love helping law firms. Anybody that I've interacted with, I hope I've been helpful to you and your firm, and I hope I can continue to lean into, Ken, what you're building over there, or continuing to build at Pilma. So I'm excited. People can reach out to me through the Pilma website. My email address is right there, so check it out. Send me an email. My cell phone number is on there probably as well. If not, Ken has it and be happy to share it with you if you just reach out to him. So yeah, get your budgeting done. It's October, folks. We need to have this done by the end of October, because we need to set our goals, our KPIs, and be ready for our kickoff breakfast with our team to announce new goals in January. So time's to waste, and get started now. Let me know if I can help you.
Thank you so much. And what a way to celebrate the 300th episode. This has been so great. Thank you so much. I appreciate
Thanks for having me. I really appreciate it.
All right. Until next time, this is Ken Hardison, dedicated to your success.
You have been listening to the Grow Your Law Firm podcast, the podcast that leads lawyers to more growth, profit, and freedom. Go to growyourlawfirm.com to find more ways to market and manage your law firm. Please leave us a rating and review wherever you listen to your podcasts.